I don't usually share this part of my life. In fact, I've kept it hidden for years because honestly, it sounds completely insane. But sometimes, when a memory is too heavy to carry alone, you have to let it out. Otherwise, it slowly eats you alive from the inside. My name's Rachel, and what I'm about to tell you happened to me just 3 years ago when I was living outside Portland, Oregon. I was 23, working late shifts at a small coffee shop near the edge of town. That's where I first saw him, where everything started, where my life changed forever. His name was Adrian, at least that's what he told me. He started coming in exactly 15 minutes before closing time, always dressed in black. Long coat, dark shirt, polished shoes that looked way too formal for a coffee shop. What struck me most were his eyes. This unusual silver-grey colour that seemed to shift depending on how the light hit them. Sometimes they looked almost metallic. He wasn't like our regular customers at all. He never pulled out a phone or opened a book. He just sat in the same corner booth every night, completely silent, with those strange eyes fixed directly on me. Here's the weird part. He would order black coffee every time, then never touch it. Not a single sip. The cup would sit there growing cold while he watched me work. I should have been creeped out, but I wasn't. Instead of feeling unsafe, I felt oddly calm when he was there. Protected, almost. When our eyes met across the coffee shop, it was like everything else just stopped. After about 2 weeks of this routine, he finally spoke. "You look tired tonight," he said, his voice deep and smooth. I froze, cleaning cloth still in my hand. He was right, and that terrified me. I had been exhausted, working multiple jobs, trying to make ends meet, putting on a fake smile for customers. But nobody had noticed, except this strange man who sat in my coffee shop every night. "I'm fine," I lied. He studied me with those silver eyes. We all have long days, some longer than others. Something in the way he said it made me think he was carrying the weight of something much heavier than work stress. "I'm Rachel. Adrian," he replied, pausing slightly like he was remembering a role he was playing. That night, he walked me to my car. From then on, we started talking. He told me about books I'd never heard of, places around the world described in vivid detail. His knowledge seemed vast, covering centuries of art and literature. "How do you know so much about everything?" I asked one night as we walked down the quiet streets. "I've had more time than most people to read and learn," he said, after a long pause. There were always these moments when Adrian would deflect, like entire parts of his life were off limits. But I was falling for him anyway. Looking back, there were warning signs I ignored. He never ate when we went out for late dinners. He never called or texted. We only saw each other after dark. His hands were always ice cold. And once, when I leaned close, his breath against my neck felt like winter air. But I was 23 and lonely, and Adrian made me feel seen in a way no one ever had. For 3 months, we fell into this routine. Late-night walks, deep conversations, stolen moments that felt more intimate than anything I'd experienced with guys my own age. I was completely, hopelessly in love with him. Then came the night by the river that changed everything. We were sitting on a bench overlooking the Columbia River. Moonlight glittered across the water. The air was still, almost heavy. Adrian turned to me, his expression serious, his voice trembling. "Rachel, if I tell you who I am, you'll never see me the same way again, but you deserve the truth." My stomach dropped. I thought maybe he was married or had a criminal past, but what came out of his mouth was worse than anything I imagined. "I'm not like you. I haven't been for more than 2 centuries. I survive on blood, human blood." I stared at him, waiting for the punchline, but he didn't laugh. His eyes shifted in the moonlight, pupils sharp and animal-like. Every muscle in my body screamed at me to run. My hands started trembling. But at the same time, I saw something in his face I didn't expect. Pain, regret, centuries of guilt weighing him down. He wasn't trying to scare me, he was confessing. I would never hurt you, that's why I can't stay. The longer I'm near you, the harder it gets to resist. My chest ached. Tears blurred my vision. I realized in that moment, as insane as it sounds, that I loved him, not the mystery, not the danger. Him. I reached for his hand. It was ice cold. Don't, please. Don't make this harder. He pulled away, shaking his head, and then for the first time I saw him cry, a vampire crying. He stood, turned and walked into the shadows, leaving me alone on that bench with my heart shattered and my world completely upended. That was 3 years ago. Since then, I've tried to move on. I've dated other people, gone on with my life, moved to a different city. But every night when I close my eyes, I hear his voice. Sometimes I wake up with strange bruises on my neck, faint and nearly gone by morning. I don't know if he's watching me or if one night he'll come back when I least expect it. Last week I was walking home from work when I saw a familiar figure in a long black coat standing across the street. Our eyes met for just a moment, those same silver-grey eyes that haunted my dreams. Then he turned and disappeared into the crowd. I wanted to run after him to call his name, but my feet stayed frozen to the sidewalk. Because part of me knows that if I see him again, if I let him back into my life, I might not survive it this time. But here's what scares me most. Despite everything I know about what he is, despite the danger, despite the fact that he could kill me without a second thought, I still love him. I loved a vampire, and deep down, in the darkest corner of my heart, a part of me always will. If you're listening to this and think I'm crazy, I don't blame you. 3 years ago, I would have thought the same thing. But sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the most true, and sometimes love really is a monster.